What's going on, everyone? Today I've got a little bit of Gears of War 3 gameplay for you, but I'm going to be talking about the Machinima switchover that's going on with my channel real soon. A few of you have been asking me some questions, and I feel like I haven't done a video that sort of centres around this subject, so hopefully this will clear up some of those questions. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm switching YouTube networks this month from full screen over to Machinima. Some of you have been asking how it's gone, and it actually hasn't gone down yet. It's going to be happening at the end of this month, as that's when my contract with full screen runs out, and I can't get out of it until that date. So that's what we're waiting on, basically. Some people have sort of said in previous videos where I've talked about this a little bit, that they think networks are a bad thing, and I think a lot of that comes down to, and please don't take offense when I say this, a lot of that comes down to people not really knowing the full ins and outs of how YouTube works, and I don't blame anyone for that, because it's kind of hard to get that information nowadays. You'd be surprised at the YouTubers who actually do YouTube all the time and have made tons of videos that don't actually know fully how stuff works, and that's kind of why some of the networks get a bad reputation, but I'll get to that in a minute. The main reason for me to switch is because Machinima does something that's called a managed partnership. Now, first of all, the first thing to understand here is there are two kinds of partnership. One, managed partnership, and another one is just sort of a normal partnership. Now, when you're a managed partner, the network you are with, or YouTube itself, basically puts their hand up for you and says that you are doing everything within fair use, and that sort of makes you exempt from matched third-party content. If you don't know what matched third-party content is, it's basically a thing that happens on YouTube when a part of your video has, usually it's music, has some music in it or something like that you don't own, and YouTube recognizes that and stops you from being able to monetize the video, and that means you can't earn money off it. Now, that would piss some people off. Personally, it doesn't bother me that much because I have a lot of videos, a couple of videos I'm not earning off, doesn't really bother me too much, you know. But what it can result in is my videos being blocked in certain countries, and some of you may know about this, where some of my parts you haven't been able to watch, and I've had messages from people and whatever, some of you may know, and that's really annoying because I want my content to be available to everyone. Obviously, yeah, I'd like to be able to earn money off the video as well, and I'm not trying to say that money isn't a big part of it, because it obviously is for everybody these days, but you know, it is worse when some of you just can't watch it at all. But that's really going to help me out. With Machinima, they're offering me a managed partnership, so definitely going to be a big plus to be with them. Full Screen don't actually do managed partnerships at all, so that's no use to me. Especially, it's just the kind of content I create. I mean, in a game, if there's a bit of music I don't own, I can understand why I can't earn money off it. But why should the company get 100% of the revenue that's made from that video? Surely they don't own 100. Their music isn't, equating to 100% of the video, so why should they get 100% of the revenue? You know, it's kind of weird. But there's nothing I can do about it at the moment, and hopefully when I switch, it won't be a problem anymore, and all that malarkey. Second of all, Machinima also help out their partners with getting review copies of games. Not every game, and I'm not expecting to get everything and any game I want weeks before release, but they do that sort of stuff for their partners, and the people I have spoken with said, they can help me out with that and help me get some review copies, which is really, really cool. I feel like Full Screen would just not even have a clue where to start if they were looking into getting that stuff done. And that's from my own personal experience. I really don't want to seem like I'm talking shit about Full Screen, even though I could. This is all down to my personal experiences with their network. But yeah, they kind of screwed me over early this year. It wasn't really, what happened wasn't really their fault, but just the way they dealt with it was horrible. And I just felt like the support wasn't there in any sense of the word. Basically, at the start of this year, I received, I think it was late last year actually, it was in December of 2014, I received a community guidelines strike, and I wasn't really sure why I got it, and usually with that stuff it's just some sort of false flagging thing going on, and you can appeal it and it usually gets lifted. 9 times out of 10 it will get lifted, and I appealed it and it didn't get lifted. So I thought, I better contact my network and see what they've got to say, see if they can offer me some advice or what I should do, or how to avoid more in the future or whatever. So I messaged them and I said, I've gained this community guideline strike, what should I do, and whatever. And I sort of got a copy and pasted response. It was almost as if they saw the subject title of my email, my support email, and copy and pasted a Google support page of how to appeal a strike. And I was like, if you would have actually read my email, you'd know that I've already appealed the strike and I'm looking for extra advice. And this went on for quite some time. Like, I literally just kept getting copy and pasted responses, and it took me sending an email to Full Screen saying, please read in full, do not send me a copy and pasted email, for me to get a decent response. And the guy who I spoke to said he's going to look into it and get back to me and tell me why, you know, I've got the strike and how I can avoid more in the future. And I said, oh, okay, that's a fair enough answer. I can deal with that. You know, I'll wait on your response. And I think a month or so went by, and I didn't get a response from these guys. So I emailed them again, you know, and I had to go through the whole copy and pasted response bullshit again, and end up sending another email that said, please read in full and all that crap. And yeah, they got back to me eventually and said, oh no, I tell a lie. They didn't get back to me until I received another community guidelines strike that locked me out of my channel for 2 weeks, which is never a good situation when, you know, you like to use YouTube quite a lot like I do. And I was in sort of a place where one more of these things and I would have lost my channel for good. And Fullscreen had still not responded to me, you know, with my query about what I should do to avoid them. So I started panicking and emailing them, emailing everyone I could to try and get some help and some information on what I should do. Because I couldn't access my channel, even if I needed to update something to stop more from coming in. I couldn't do that because I couldn't get onto my channel. Eventually they got back to me, and it turned out that I was gaining the community guideline strikes because I was apparently spamming in my description. And it's kind of a grey area, because spam to me is something that's not relevant to your video, and everything that was in my description was relevant, but it is irrelevant now. But at the time I was a bit confused. It basically came down to me having some key phrases and tags in my description that were relative to my video, but YouTube sees that as spam, which I was completely unaware of. So I take responsibility for that on my own. I don't, you know, blame anyone for that, because it's my own fault for doing it. But what was horrible was YouTube's response to me. You know, like, they just didn't help me, give me any information. Straight away, as soon as I got that second community guideline strike and I managed to get hold of Fullscreen, they said, oh yeah, this is why it's happening, you're doing this in your description. And I'm like, well, why couldn't you have told me that a month or two ago? I mean, I can accept it's my fault, but why the hell couldn't you have just glossed over my content and told me that a month ago, and I could have avoided this whole shitty situation? And they, you know, their response was pretty much, oh well, it's done now, we can't do anything about it. I even said to them, should I contact YouTube, because they wouldn't contact YouTube on my behalf. They wouldn't contact them and say, you know, this guy has not really done much wrong, it's kind of unfair, whatever. They wouldn't even try. Because the worst they're going to say is no, right? I just wanted to get the strikes lifted. And they wouldn't even contact YouTube for me. They also advised me that it was a bad idea for me to contact YouTube and try and get their help, because they wouldn't help me. But I thought to myself, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? All they're going to do is say no. By this point, Fullscreen had managed, I should mention, to access my content for me and update every single one of my descriptions to a very generic, same description, so that I wouldn't get any more community guideline strikes. I should mention that they did do that for me, but at the same time, you know, this whole mess could have been avoided if they just took a glossy look over my content. But anyway, yeah, so I'm sort of annoyed by them at this point, you know, trying to get their help. They're refusing, won't contact YouTube for me, and I think to myself, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? I should just try and contact YouTube. Or the worst they're going to do is say no. They're not going to, like, you know, ban me from YouTube just because I've asked. So I messaged them, and bear in mind, I'm not a huge channel. Some of you probably see me as a pretty big channel, but I'm not a well-known guy within YouTube. Those guys have got millions. So the odds are the support team that I was talking to didn't have a freaking clue who I was. You know, I'm just a little speck on the radar to them. But I explained the situation to them, everything with Fullscreen that I could. I only had a limited amount of characters to do that, but I did my best. And they got back to me and said that the guy said, I'll speak to our team today and see what we can do for you. Literally, guys, one email, a 10-minute talk with this guy, and I had my community guideline strikes lifted. I didn't get the videos back, which I didn't expect to, but because I cleaned up all the content and literally spent, I think I was locked out for 2 weeks, and I spent a further week going through all of my content and updating all of my descriptions back to normal, so they all linked up with series, linked to the next parts and playlist links and all that crap. You know, it took me a full week to do that, of literally just non-stop sitting there updating frickin' descriptions, which was a very tiresome job, as I'm sure you can imagine. But yeah, I did it, and they saw that and said, you know, you've sorted everything out. We can't see your channel being causing any more problems or confusion. We'll lift the strike straight away. Like, no problems. Done. One email, and that just sort of made me completely lose faith in the network, just because how not only how they didn't help me, but just how they wouldn't help me. You know, they wouldn't even try. And it's also probably not a good sign for a company when your partner manager, who I didn't even know about until all of this happened, by the way, switches hands 3 times in about 2 years. Like, if they're not keeping their employees happy and they're leaving the company left, right and centre, that kind of speaks volumes about the company to me. I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I'll have to leave some of the MCN talk to another video, I think, because I haven't got a lot of time left here. But I just wanted to say, if you're gonna go ahead and say something along the lines of don't go with Machinima, just rest assured that I have done my research, and I do know some people within the network. I know how MCNs work myself quite well, having a few friends within them that I've spoken to and whatever. I kind of know the way it works, and there's not really much of a chance that Machinima can screw me with the way it's going to work. Put it this way, back in the day, everybody used to get, from Machinima, this is why they get a bad rep, everybody used to get fixed rate contracts, which basically means you're getting a certain amount per 1,000 monetized views. A monetized view is a view where an ad plays, and that's kind of how everyone makes their money. But when people were getting fixed rates, which was really, really common back in the day, people were getting ripped off and they weren't too happy about it. And then when the company started losing a little bit of money, they switched everyone's contract, which they earlier wouldn't let people get out of. But that isn't the case anymore, since everything is done on percentage rates. I will make another video talking about this further. I do kind of know my shit with it. It's hard to explain it all. I've actually had to explain it to some YouTubers in the past because they don't understand it fully either. But that's kind of how everyone earns their money these days. It's all done by percentage rates, unless you're not with a network, in which case a network doesn't take a cut of your money. But one thing you guys probably should know is that YouTube takes 45% of everybody's money straight away. Everyone's. I think it's around 45%, and that's before a network gets a cut, and that's everyone from the biggest to the smallest. YouTube gets 45% of everything you earn. Just so you know, some of the facts. If you do want to know anything in particular, if you're sort of confused about some YouTube stuff, feel free to leave a comment or whatever. Let me know what you think about full screen being shitty. Have a great day, and until next time, take it easy.